to Living Ardently. I'm your host, Adrian Giraldi, and we are here with a special episode because tomorrow, at the time of this recording, I'm getting married. And I'm with, you can hear the chatter in the background. It's because, right here we have my one of my groomsmen, Arnell, one of my best friends. And the rest of the room is filled with my other groomsmen and some other family friends and stuff in the party. We're just here. We're having fun, and we're gonna get some advice from some of our favorite, some of my favorite guys in the world about married life, relationship advice, and just like what the best advice they could give me as or any of you who might be preparing to get married. Some good advice for you that you might find useful. So that's what we're doing today. Anyway, let's get into it, y'all. So, yeah, you hear the chatter in the back. There's a ton of people. Right now, we have Arnell here, one of my groomsmen. I think he's one of our writers. I don't know. Have you been on an episode before?
An episode of Living Ardently?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. It was for season 1.
Yeah, Daddy Issues.
Daddy Issues. That was a good one. I was Dilly. Dilly. Cheers. See, we're having fun. We're having some drinks. So here's the setup so you can see a little bit of people. So we got Father Kyle over there. He's marrying us, me and my fiance, tomorrow. There's Joe, Chris, Jordan, Garrick, sitting like Filipinos should do. Matthias, Rudy, Philippe, a pillow, some Angry Orchard, somebody shot, Evan, and again, Arnell. Well, only person we're missing here is Trent, who is one of my roommates in college, household brothers, and one of the other groomsmen. So, yeah, we're here. And so we're just going to take like 5 minutes between each person, maybe less, giving me the best advice that they can give. Right now we have Arnell, like I said here before. We're sharing the mic. We had 2 mics, but it's just not working out. So here we are. Arnell, you were here before. You're now a writer. What's married like? How long have you been married?
Been married since 2016, so it's 2021. So going on 5 years this December. So 4 years currently. Yeah.
5 years this December, 4 years currently. You have how many kids?
2.
2 kids. And what was my follow-up question?
Go ahead, spit it out.
You got another kid coming up?
Nope.
Dang it. I was going to try to get some live reactions, live exposures of kid announcements.
Nope.
So we are good. Arnell, you've been married. I think you are the one who is the most in the longest relationship, marriage in this room of groomsmen. Of the 9 groomsmen, 8 of them are married. No, 7 of them are married. 1 is in a relationship and 1 is single. But I think you, of all of them, are at last all of them. So you are the most experienced. I'm expecting some good advice from a father or two.
I have the most time under my belt. I don't know that I have the most experience, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's true. I feel that. I feel like people say, "Oh, you've been in youth ministry for so long.
Yeah.
What's your best advice and give me?" I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, youth ministry, you just never know.
Yep. Yep.
So anyway, give me your best advice you can give to somebody who is about to get married, enter a lifelong commitment with another person. What's your best advice for that?
That's tough because, there's a lot of different angles that you can go about it. Probably what I would say is communication is a big thing.
Yeah.
One of the big things that I've taken away from a podcast that I listen to, the different podcasts that I listen to, the Dr. John Deloney show, he talks about how people think in pictures, but they speak in words. Yeah. So, in other words, you can go into your day thinking about how things are going to work, but the words that you translate out of your mouth are going to be different than the exact picture that you have in your mind. So, getting together with your spouse, making sure you're on the same page about what today is going to look like, what this picture of this date is going to look like, or what this... Oh.
All right, we got slightly interrupted by a phone call from the missus, or soon to be. So you were talking about putting words into so the plan, and then there's the words. Yeah. Go a little bit further into that. I don't know if you were able to finish your thought.
Yeah, I mean, basically just getting together and making sure that you're communicating what your thoughts and expectations are, so that way you're both on the same page on things. And another big thing is making sure that you're both not putting in 50-50 on things, but that you're both putting in 100-100.
Ooh.
So, you know, it's not about, you know, I did my share of things, or I did the dishes, so you can do the laundry. It's about, I did the dishes and I did the laundry, not because of anything of any kind of bragging rights or anything, but, you know, maybe it's just so that you have the time to rest because you had a long day, or whatever the case may be. So it's about each of you giving your all, 100%, even when you don't think you have any in the tank.
That's some good advice. It's so easy to like give yourself some slack, you know, when you're exhausted or you feel like you've been pulling a lot of weight. I mean, just knowing, like, even with roommates, you know, when I was in college and I had like half of these guys in my wedding party are roommates in college, and you know, living with 7 other guys, you can feel like, oh, I'm doing a lot of the cleaning. Why isn't everybody else doing it? But it's just like a matter of a lot of self-sacrificing that happens in marriage, and it's a constant thing, and it's a constant like reminder of doing that every day. That's hard, I believe, right?
Yeah, and you know, one of the things too is never taking her for granted in even the small things. You know, you guys might get into a disagreement about something, and somebody might say something that is a little bit hurtful, but in the back of your mind, instead of immediately saying, sorry, I should take that back, or, you know, whatever the situation is, maybe you hold on to, oh, well, this is forever, so I know that they're still going to be here, so I can apologize tomorrow. She'll be okay if I wait until tomorrow. He'll be okay if I write him a letter and tell him, you know, apologize in my letter, you know, tomorrow or next week. No, if you feel that you know, that I got to just apologize, that I got to take a step back, take that moment, put yourself outside of that situation, and apologize. Take the pride out of it, take the circumstance out of it, and speak to your spouse the same way that you spoke to your spouse on your first date, with the level of respect and intentionality that your spouse deserves today, just as your spouse deserved on your first date.
Yeah, that is facts. We got a bride here clapping, applauding those words, because that, I mean, it's true. I mean, I even noticed now there's, not intentionally, but like there's a difference in how I spoke to Sarah in the beginning of the relationship, when I was trying to like, not like just like put on a front, but like actually show who I am for who I am, not, you know, versus how I am now, where I'm comfortable. And so
you get comfortable.
Yeah.
Things happen. Yeah.
So I guess combating that is huge and necessary, and an ongoing day-to-day battle. Would you say?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you should be uncomfortable with your spouse. Every day you should be uncomfortable with your spouse in a way that grows you closer together. It's easy to fall into the comfort trap of, they're going to be here tomorrow, they're going to be here next week. I don't have to do whatever they asked me to do right now because I can do it tomorrow. It's easier said than done, but it's going into that, this is uncomfortable, but this is for the betterment of my spouse. Thinking of it in the long term, in the long con, as they call it.
Yeah. Well, that is probably, I feel like, one of the best advice so far I've heard. Not just the fact that you're the first person, but just in general, from all the other advice that I've heard off of a podcast, you know, that's some really good stuff. And I know that's something I will have to actively work at, just from my personality, who I am, as I am now. So swallowing that pride and making sure that it's a commitment day to day, and being uncomfortable and always wanting to pursue my spouse, always. So appreciate that. That was great, good advice. We're gonna keep it short there, and we're gonna bring in the next person. So Appreciate that, brother. So, our next groomsman, next close friend of mine. So, I didn't explain, but Arnell and I met. When did we meet?
At the time.
10 years ago in my freshman geometry class. We met like in 2009. So that was over 10 years ago. 11 years ago. And then 12 years? Oh, that's right. Dang.
Really?
12 years ago, 2009 is when we met. Matthias and I, we met a year after.
Yeah, we met
sophomore year.
No lie, how we met. We were at the pep rally. We didn't know each other. We were just so hyped. And we yelled in each other's face. We were like, yeah!
Really?
Is that
how we met?
That's how we met. We were at a pep rally. And
Our pep rallies were big in Park Vista. Evan was one of our groomsmen. It was at Park Vista and was one of the biggest heavy parts. It was See No Evil. It was a dance crew of Park Vista of
Fun
our high
fact,
school.
my brother's dance crew battled their brothers.
Really?
Yeah, Battle Machines crew.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
man.
my brother's dance crew.
That's funny.
But, yeah, we met at a pep rally and we were just turning up. Like,
Dude, I
we were getting
don't remember that
so
at all. So that's
hyped,
awesome
bro.
that you
we were
do.
so hyped.
That's so great.
And then I think we added each other on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then we started posting like YouTube stuff, like when Asian YouTubers were very big.
Yeah. Like Jeremy Passions, AJ
Jesse
Raphael,
Barrera,
Jesse
all those guys,
Barrera,
Michael Carrion,
Michael Carrion,
Timothy De La
Andrew-
Ghetto
well,
when he was relevant.
Yeah, I was gonna say Andrew Garcia, but he's actually Mexican, so. But he was like cool with everybody
Yeah, Dumbfounded, all those guys.
there.
Yeah,
Dead, yeah, that was great.
yeah.
But yeah, that's how we bonded and we started talking
Oh, yeah.
and all that stuff. And
We wrote a couple of terrible songs together.
oh man, that's on the internet somewhere. Don't look
We
for
wrote
it.
some really bad songs.
Don't look for that. That's hard. Some hard stuff. Evan's
Yeah,
looking for it now.
Yeah.
So you've been married how long?
Dude, I need to get this right. 9 months and a couple of days.
9 months and a couple of days.
Not in a couple of days. 9 months and a couple of days.
and a couple of days. Okay, so you,
I got married 5 days before my birthday,
which is
July 25th. So I got married July 20th.
okay. So this was during COVID. This is like the
Yeah,
peak
I
of
got
COVID.
married. I got engaged before the lockdown.
Yeah.
And I got married when everyone was inside.
You had like a little low key wedding and stuff.
Yeah, it was super low key. We got married in my mom's living room. So like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
That's
dope.
amazing. So
That's pretty cool.
So I
It's very
think
cheap.
we went from the longest marriage to the shortest
Yeah.
here in this room. Oh wait, yeah, you're October. Yeah, that's right. Never mind. We didn't. Yeah,
Oh, okay, bet. Wow. Okay,
we
sweet.
were just in Houston for that.
What month? Oh, July 20th is when I got married. Yeah. We wanted to do a fall wedding, but just with the way things were working, like legit, it was like miracles happened for the doors to be open the way we got married. To get the apartment we did at the time we did. Some relationship stuff with our families that happened. Literally, all of it was legit miracle, like right in front of us. It was crazy. Yeah. That's awesome.
So you being 9 months, you're the second shortest, but relatively new. How much have you learned in your 9 months, and what is your best advice that you can give to somebody?
I think there's a little bit of a different dynamic for me. I mean, my wife, I've known her. She's my best friend. I've known her since the 8th grade.
Yeah.
So like we've seen each other go through relationships and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was a little bit different for me because I had to adapt. I only knew her as my best friend, and then getting married, like my brain still processed her being best friend, not wife. And even though they should seamlessly kind of transition to one another, it was like I never saw her romantically until we really started dating. And then once we got married, it was like, okay, I got to get out of that box and. You know, like she's my wife. She's not just your best friend. You're not friend zoned anymore. You know, this is till death do you part. You want to have kids together, all these things. But one of the biggest things I can honestly say is, like men, like we're selfish. We're like mad selfish.
One preface: you have a stepson.
Yes, I do. I have a stepson. His name is Caden, and he's 7. And so like going from a single man to dating my best friend. And I knew her, something crazy. I held Caden for the first time when he was 3 months old. I did not see him again until Casey and I started dating.
Dang.
Yeah, Casey's my wife's name, but yeah, I did not hold my son now until, or I didn't see him again until he was 4 years old. I held him when he was 3 months. We took a nap on each other. It was really cool. Wow. It's a fun picture.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see him again until he was 4 years old.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, I just wanted to preface that because I want to get how many kids each guy has.
Oh yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
So.
One, and Lord willing, we'll get to have more in the future. At least for me, I know that I'm very selfish. I had a ton of brothers and sisters, so like I never got to have my own space. So like sharing my own space with not just with my wife, but also now having a child also, and that dynamic and sharing and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that scripture that talks about dying to yourself, that is a very big thing. Like I've learned a lot to die to myself and just really serve them. Second thing, I'm just gonna be like clear, guys. When we, depending on how you grow up viewing sex and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Sex is not about you.
Facts.
Like it's, depending on, some people struggle with, pornography and stuff like that, but sex is not just about you. It's two becoming one. And for the single men or the guys who are about to get married, I like to say, look to serve your wife in that moment. In that intimate moment you get to have together, look to serve her. We get caught up in the moment and we can be about us, and then once we finish, it's, we don't care about our wife. But I would say, really, really serve your wife there. Don't worry about yourself as much, because guys, it doesn't take very much. We're pretty simple. But look to serve your wife in that intimate moment. And, when hard times come, when stuff is frustrating, your wife is not your enemy. Your wife is not your enemy. And, being that we're all, people of faith who I believe, who listen to this podcast, our enemy is Satan, and he would have you believe that your wife is your enemy when stuff is hitting the fan, when things aren't going your way. But your wife is not your enemy. Wives or wives to be, your husband is not your enemy. You're to be together and united, and the enemy loves to divide and conquer. But if we can stay united, we triumph over whatever is in our way. There's my wife and I, there's a song lyric that we love that it's from my favorite band, Thrice, and it says, our love is a loyalty sworn, not a burden for the moment. So
wait, say that again one more time.
So it says, sorry, I misquoted it. It says, love is a loyalty sworn, not a burden for the moment. Yeah. So, when we say our vows and stuff like that, I said vowels, sorry.
Vowels. Can I get a vowel?
When we say our vows, it's not an in the moment emotional Instagram thing. It's realize what you're saying, what you're diving into, what you are actually publicly declaring you're going to do. Like when crap hits the fan,
right?
I'm going to love you. When you don't meet my expectation, I'm going to love you. When I fail you, you're going to love me. That's what we're declaring. And it's not easy. I'm not preaching from a high horse. I fail at it a lot. Yeah. I failed at it before I even got married. Yeah. But the beautiful thing is the grace of God. Hallelujah for that. But yeah, die to yourself. What was the second thing I said? I don't even remember.
Sex is not about you.
Die to yourself, guys. Sex is not about you. Also, women, sex is about you. Serve each other. You get to serve each other in that moment. Your spouse is not your enemy when stuff hits the fan, and your love is a loyalty sworn. It's not just in the moment emotional thing, because emotions are fickle. Emotions aren't completely negative, but they come and go. But before God, before the state, before family, before the church, we are saying we're going to love each other, and we're called to be the light in the world. And if people look at our marriage and don't see anything different, then I think we gotta look in the mirror a little bit. If my marriage looks like everyone else's, but doesn't reflect the gospel, I think that not reevaluate your marriage, but there's you got to look at it because
Some of your acts,
yeah,
you know,
like when
how you're loving, how you're
yeah,
serving.
big time. But that's I mean there's we could probably sit down and talk about it more, but the main things that I've learned so far in being married are those is that big time. And I don't know when I hit a year in 9 months or when I become not become a dad, but when Lord willing we have another child, I'll come back and give you a little bit more. If you thought you were selfish single dating, wait till you get. My pastor likes to say this: if you want to know how selfish you are, get married. If you really want to know how selfish you are, have kids.
Yeah.
And if you really, really want to know how selfish you are, have a child that has special needs.
Ooh.
Because my pastor's daughter has autism, but yeah, if you're, marriage is a good mirror. I would say marriage is a great mirror for yourself.
Yeah, it's huge. I think that one of the most crucial things you said. I was trying to find this document. I know you're not Catholic, but there's this document by Saint John, former Pope, now Saint John Paul II.
Okay, yeah.
It's through Vatican II, and one of the things in there is I'm trying to find it exactly,
Dude, that
but
is so tiny to try to read.
I know these papal documents, bro, are so large.
It was a perfect vision back in the day when they wrote it.
Right.
Excuse me.
Who can recite? Rachel, can you recite Gaudium et Spes 24:3?
I'll just come in with no.
Brother Philippe in the house.
You don't have to see me. It's okay.
Yeah, they're seeing your toys.
Indeed, the Lord Jesus, when he prayed to the Father, that all may be one as we are one, opened up vistas closed to human reason, for he implied a certain likeness between the union of the divine persons and the unity of God's sons in truth and love. This likeness reveals that man, who is the only creature on earth which God willed for itself, cannot fully find himself except through a sincere gift of self.
That right there. One cannot find himself except through a sincere gift of self. And that's something that you were just kind of alluding to that just remind me of that in marriage. And it's huge, and it's something that, like you said, we're kind of selfish beings, especially us guys.
Yeah.
But it's not about us. It's about that dying to self and things like that. And so, it's huge. So,
And I mean, like, again, we could chat so much more about it. I mean, if people would like to get my opinion on it, again, I'm not Catholic, I'm Protestant, but I love that either side takes marriage very seriously. It's not a joke. It's not an emotion. I mean, of course, our flesh still takes over and we do it emotionally, but our reasoning for it, I think, and our counseling for it, I think, is more effective than what the world has to offer. That being said, I mean, if anyone would like to, share ideas, or if you disagree with what I say, I mean, Adrian will probably link me on my Instagram and whatever, and like just message me or whatever, and I'm always down to chat about it, and I'm always up to learning too, because like every day I want to be a better husband, every day I want to be a better dad. Like if there's something I take very seriously, it's the responsibility that I've been given by God to shepherd my family, to love my wife, and to raise the son that he's blessed me with. Who, he calls me daddy, even though I'm not his blood father.
Dude.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's not something you take lightly. And so like, yeah, I mean, I'm always game to talk about. I'm always game to be sharpened. But yeah, hopefully this blesses you all. It's been, I love getting to chat with Adrian about this stuff.
It's always great because I know every single one of these guys in this wedding party has. Like they are in my wedding party. You guys are in my wedding party for a reason. Like, you are all guys I know I can rely on and take the sacrament of marriage so seriously. Yeah. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to hear from guys like us, who take this seriously. Who for the ladies, it's uplifting to know like there's guys out there who view marriage in this special, like in this way. Where it can sometimes feel as if the world doesn't, So if you have more advice, I mean, please feel free to share with any of us. And this is something that all of us here in this room are going to be learning from. So I will second that call.
And if I can say one more thing real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Real quick, I'm very performance minded, if even though you've done the counseling, you've read the books, you've read the Gospels, you've seen XYZ, do not put this heavy expectation for you to be perfect at it out of the gate.
Ooh, yeah.
Do not do that. I mean, again, with my performance mentality, it weighs down and ruins so many beautiful opportunities. But just be a student. Go in knowing you'll make mistakes, but not just saying, "Oh yeah, I know I'm going to make mistakes." No, realize you will. You will not do it perfectly. Off rip, you will not. The stuff you learned in counseling, it's not gonna. Right. It might not happen right away. Realize the grace that's there, and cut yourself a little bit of slack. Don't compromise, but cut yourself a little bit of slack. Don't go in thinking you're gonna get it all right. Yeah. But enjoy the process. I will say, and biggest encouragement to you, bro. Enjoy the process, even though it doesn't feel great. There's so many great opportunities there. But hopefully that blesses you guys. Even though I don't know you all, I love you all. God bless you all, and I'm always game to chat and pray, and whatever way I can serve you all, just let me know.
Always, any day. So hold on. Bye, y'all. Love you. Bye. Wait, you? No, yes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so. It's really encouraging to know that it's such a time. Marriage is a constant learning thing,
yes.
and it's not to be discouraged, but to embrace that growth, like you said. So appreciate that reminder, brother.
My pleasure.
Love you, bro.
Love
and
you too.
This is also not your first time on the podcast. You were also in season 1.
What? Say it again.
You were also on season 1.
Oh yeah. What the heck did we talk about? Saying no.
Saying no. Yeah. That was when we were doing a lot of topical things. We ended up doing a lot of more interviews this second season, but like this year, like we're kind of doing a little bit of both.
When you become a parent, let's have a talk about that again.
Yeah, let's do that again. Let's run it back.
Yeah, saying no. At the season at the time, I don't think I was married yet.
You were not, definitely not.
But now, being a dad, saying no is taken, I think, a little bit of a different meaning. But
dang, we gotta revisit.
We'll chat about it for sure, dude.
So we got my next groomsman here. This is my twinny. We call each other the Twinny the Pooh. I think that's my contact, right, for you?
Twinny the Pooh.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think you coined that.
I did.
Yeah. And we have you might have seen our series on my personal account of doing reflections by Mulan and just kind of doing stupid stuff. Just kind of something silly I started, and we started. I started because of. We started because of each other.
Yeah, in college.
And then I started doing it with like Buzz Lightyear, and just like a ongoing inside joke that a lot of people has gotten into now.
Yeah, we kept getting mistaken for each other my first few weeks at Ave. I mean, even now we do, but yeah, everyone. My first day at Ave, someone called me Adrian. I was like, I have no idea who that is. Sorry, man.
Yeah, and now I was a groomsman at his wedding, and now he's a groomsman at mine. So. Yeah, it's amazing what being mistaken for another person can do. So you've been married since
2018. 2018, yeah.
And you married one of our mutual college friends.
Yeah, you actually we met through you.
Yeah. It was first few weeks of the first couple days of like our second semester of knowing each other when we really became roommates.
Yeah, it was our second year. Second year. Yeah, it was fall of 2016.
Yeah. And it's kind of a messy
it was a messy year for both of us. We had both just gone through like big breakups.
Yeah.
But we kind of bonded through that.
Yeah.
And then Teresa was just kind of a mutual friend of Adrian's, and I only really knew her through him. Yeah. But yeah, we hit it off.
And then there was all the liking the wrong person, and now everyone's married to different people, and it's great.
Yeah, it was a big weird love triangle square thing going on.
Octagon.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was very bizarre.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how we our friend group, which is now we call just try to put our initials together, called Jam Tape with the G. At some point we just try to add Garrick on there.
We didn't add Garrick because he had an Android at the time, so we didn't like seeing all the green chats in our group text. So
yeah, love you, Garrick. Now he has an iPhone, so we even though he's in there, he's still Jam Tape.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've been married since 2018, June.
May 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are probably the second longest marriage here. Because Garrick was 2020, 2019, late 2019.
Who got married before me?
Arnell.
Oh, Arnell. Yeah.
Arnell was, I was in college when he got married. So you being the second longest, you might have some more advice. I mean, you and Teresa have gone through some certain like different kind of things that some of these other couples haven't gone through, health wise, all these different things. So you might have some more different advice in ways that that they might not have insight on. So it doesn't have to relate to that, but maybe you do. So what's your advice for anyone going into marriage and stuff?
Yeah, we like to joke around because during the marriage vows they talk about being there in sickness and in health, and we're just like, well, when are we gonna get to the in health part? Like the first week of us dating, or first month of us dating, both of us actually ended up in the hospital. So like my first time meeting her parents was on the phone while she was in the hospital. Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's kind of rough, but yeah, had our ups and downs, but it's been good. Yeah.
And you don't shy away from sharing. So you at an early age had battled leukemia and have been in remission for how many years now?
Like 10 years?
10 years?
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was longer, but that's crazy.
2010 was the last time I had anything done for the leukemia. Yeah.
But even then, you guys still had, like, Teresa was, whatever health conditions that you had or Teresa had, you guys constantly have to love each other in that in sickness part, and so that's a beautiful thing, and I'm sure a hard thing.
Yeah, it really is hard. One of the things that we talked about in marriage prep we had a great priest for our marriage prep was death to self. I know a lot of people say death to self. I don't think a lot of people really understand what that means until they go through something that can be traumatic. Really just putting the other person before you to the point of death. Like, I would die for this person. One of the things that I really like, the church and her wisdom, nothing is without meaning, nothing without symbolism. And I got married in the Latin Mass rite, traditional rite, and all our music was chant. And one of the great parallels, I don't know if it was intentional, my belief is that it is that the chant for the wedding mass is actually the same as the chant for a requiem mass, which is a mass for the dead. Ooh. So even in even in the like most happy moment of your life, the church gives you a reminder of death. Yeah. So I think that's a beautiful thing to go into marriage, to remind you to die to yourself. Yeah.
I think you and Philippe were the only ones. Philippe wasn't the Latin. He wasn't in the Latin, right? Was he?
Yeah, Philippe did have a Latin mass.
Okay, yeah. He that was one of the first Latin rite weddings I ever been to, and there's still so much I'm still learning from our conversation from that, and that's just such a beautiful thing. I didn't grow up with Latin mass, but you did. But my parish back home was actually one of the only parishes in our diocese that offered Latin mass. And I went to my first Latin mass there, and I remember being hella lost. But it was great to have that little booklet to kind of guide us through.
Yeah, I mean, the more you know something, the more you love it. So it's just one of those things that, I mean, the first time I went to Latin mass, I was confused too, but it's definitely something that if you're drawn to it, explore it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And we see there's so much depth to our church where, like, we have those people like Garrick who are more in the charismatic side of the church. There's some beauty to that in certain aspects, but there's just such a undeniable deeper level of beauty in the tradition of big T tradition of our church that is just like, wow. Like it when you every time there's some connection, I just know, like, for myself, there's just always a wow factor to everything. And so being friends with you kind of showed me more and more how beautiful that was. And so I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. One of the terms that people use about the Latin Mass is there's nothing superfluous, meaning that there's nothing without meaning. Like every little action, every word that is chosen, every Bible verse that is chosen in the liturgy is for a specific reason, it's for a specific season, and yeah, it's beautiful.
So now that you've been married, and we talked about some of your stuff, but like, what is your best advice or best tips that you can give to somebody who's about to get married, like myself, that I can take into my marriage and hopefully learn from what you've learned in your 2 years, going on 3.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to us being very similar, Adrian and I are the kind of people that can get heated pretty quickly over stupid little petty things. I think one of the things that I've really learned over 3 years is how to pick your battles. There are certain hills that you should stand on and other ones that you should just let go. There's a beautiful line in, I think it's the Song of Solomon, where it talks about the foxes in the vineyards. The foxes destroying. Like, we don't think of foxes as like big, terrifying, menacing creatures. I mean, they're more nuisances than anything. But at the same time, they can destroy an entire vineyard. And I think the allegory that is trying to be drawn there is that it's the little things that can really destroy a marriage or a relationship. Oftentimes, it's not big, huge, massive blowout arguments that kind of lead towards resentment. It's like the little everyday things that we don't address that can lead to resentment towards your partner. So people like to say, don't sweat the little things, but I think that's not necessarily the best advice when it comes to marriage. I think you should sweat the little things, figure out what those little things are that you can work on that can ultimately bring you closer as a couple. Because obviously, as getting married, obviously with Catholics, it's a little different because in the church, it's generally not a good idea. We don't generally cohabitate before marriage. I mean, at least it's not within the teaching of the church. Obviously, it happens, and if that happens to you, that's okay. But having to go from being your own person and living your own life, your own habits, your own little quirks, and then having to be there every day, all day with another person. I mean, it's hard. It's difficult. You have to learn their schedules, their habits, what works for them, what works for you, and it's difficult. It's a daily struggle, but every day you really just have to try the best to die to yourself at the end of the day and put them before you, and hopefully they'll do the same thing.
It's something that it just seems to continue carry on between all the past 3 people. That dying to self is so important. And I don't think that's a surprise to anybody that's listening. But there's so many different ways that takes form in a marriage. Like you were saying, not cohabitating to living in the same house. Like Sarah and I live an hour and a half away from each other every time. And anytime, it's just really hard to see each other, like consistently throughout the week. And so it can be a little draining to keep that up. And so, but I know when I get to that, as of tomorrow, like when we start living together, there's a lot of things of my habits, like sleeping late, for example, that I need to learn to give up, not for the sake of, because Sarah sleeps early, but yeah, that's part of it. But like, the reason I really want to continue to do it, because it's something that I love to do. Is I'm a night owl. I claim myself as a night owl, and I want to do that, continue to be that. But I'm a husband now, and that means some changes, right?
Yeah, definitely. You're no longer making decisions for everything you do. You have to consider your partner now. you're no longer your own person. You know, you are two people, but you're one in flesh. And so, yeah, you really have to figure out how to take those things that you guys, those weird little habits and all those things that you do that you're used to doing, and figure out how to make it work with another person 24/7. And it comes down to little stupid things, like where you put your toothbrush in the bathroom. You don't. These are things that you don't think. These are things you don't think about until you're married. Yeah, or like Teresa never had a dishwasher growing up, so she didn't know how to use a dishwasher. So she just like will throw things in the dishwasher all willy nilly. And we used our dishwasher growing up, so I was like,
You're one of them Asians that did. We did it.
yeah, no shame. We paid for it. We're gonna use it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, most Asians use their dishwasher just for drying racks, but we used ours. So I had to why are you putting your things in here like this? And it's like one of those things that like the stupidest stuff turns into an argument. And it's like, and people looking up like, you really argued over how to load a dishwasher, but it's those little things that really like you don't realize how big they can be until you live with a person day in and day out. Yeah, and obviously there's this. There's things that I do that annoy her. So having to learn those things that I've done my entire life, it's like, oh, why would I change it? Because you're married now.
And there's more to you now than they were before, because two have become one, and you're not just you're you and another person, but you're still also one. It's great. I love that. So I mean, that's some huge things. I know there's a lot on my list that I need to learn myself. So eventually, I'll work through it.
Yeah, you'll learn.
Is it safe to say that you're still learning?
Oh yeah, I mean, another thing that our priest told us was to find a good and holy couple to emulate. So obviously it's important within the marriage to have boundaries with other couples. You know, there's certain things that you don't talk about with couples, other people you talk about only with your spouse, but it is really important to have a good example of healthy marriage and relationship. Obviously, we have like the saints in marriage to look forward to look to as examples, but we don't know their ins and outs of their daily lives. It can be sometimes hard to relate to that. Obviously, like we know of Saint Joseph in the Bible, we know of Mary as our mother, but it helps to have concrete. I mean, we're material creatures, so it helps to have concrete examples of what a healthy love and healthy marriage is. And that's something my parents even talked to me about, because they both came from kind of broken households, and they really had to learn that along the way. And I think they did an amazing job. I think a lot of credit of it was due to them joining the church. They're both Catholics. They're baptized Catholics, but they kind of had a reversion when I was like younger. But I think that, definitely finding good, healthy married couples, and particularly more experienced, older married couples that you can not necessarily confide in, because you don't want to hide things from your spouse, but that you can look to as examples is a good idea.
Just a shout out to a couple of our sponsor couples that we hope to kind of be that for us. Sarah's sister and brother-in-law, Mary Beth and Muhammad. I know are such a great couple, and are, with my limited interactions with them, I just know, I think so highly of them, and I look up to them already. But the one that Sarah and I both truly like look up to on a constant, like, this couple, this family is so beautiful, and we want them to be part of the wedding. And as a sponsor, in the Filipino wedding traditions, there are a couple things that we add, that we do, that is beautiful. But it's just not what is it called? Like the veil and the cord, symbolizing certain things. And we have a sponsor that we emulate. We hope to emulate, or like to look towards.
Godparents for a wedding, yeah. You find a couple that'll kind of help guide you in your spiritual life and give you advice when you need it.
That couple for us was Rachel and Jason Bowman. If you're familiar with them, Rachel Bowman actually writes for the Word on Fire. She's one of the writers for the Word on Fire blog, and Jason is a PA who's studying to be a deacon, and also does some certain speaking engagements here and there. But with his work as a PA, primarily does that, and studying to be a deacon. Hopefully, by I think 2022, So Jason, Rachel, Bowman, love you guys. If you're listening, thank you for your beautiful example of marriage and your vulnerability to show that you're not where you want to be. I mean, not where like you're always growing. Like you're not complacent. And that's something that I always look up to them. That they're always going, but they also have that. I don't know.
It's so easy to fall into complacency. Yeah. It's so easy to fall into a spot where you're comfortable. You're just kind of going from day to day. But I think it's important to really always challenge yourself as a couple, both mentally, spiritually, physically. Yeah.
And especially with 4 kids with 2 more on the way as twins, like they are killing it, and I mean obviously they're vulnerable. Rachel especially is vulnerable in her writing and sharing about like how she's still learning and parenting, but they are an example that Sarah and I constantly look up to. So having that, I think, is so important for every couple, especially if you don't have one, looking for some that. Maybe your parish knows some, maybe, whatever. Just kind of looking around at people, even you're closer to your age, too, would be helpful, maybe like a 10-year gap.
I think experience is one of the greatest teachers, so you can find a couple that has that experience, and it's a good idea.
Well, bro, I appreciate it. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. We're going to get married. We're not getting married. I'm getting married.
Get married, man. You got to go to bed soon. It's late.
Yeah, yeah, we got to go soon. We got to sleep. Getting married tomorrow. All right, bro. I guess we're going to take a break right here, and we'll bring in our next groomsman. All right, let's go.
If you did not know, Living Ardently is now an affiliate with Be a Heart Design. Be Art has a bunch of great things for you and your family, so if you want to go get something, use our affiliate link in our show notes, and then you can use our promo code Ardently10 for 10% off your purchase. Everything that we make goes straight back into our podcast, so you'll be supporting our ministry. Again, so if you want to get something nice for yourself, for your friends, or your family, go to Be a Heart using our affiliate link, use our promo code Ardently10 for 10% off, and not only will you be helping the ministry here at Living Ardently, but you'll be getting something cool too. Again, link in the show notes, Ardently10. Let's get back to it.
Our next guy is somebody I met at a Steubenville conference. Technically, right? Is it Steubenville?
So the first time was at Steubenville conferences. We volunteered together. Yeah. I was in community college in Florida, and that's where I met Adrian. So yeah.
Speak louder.
Okay, yeah, I'll speak louder. No, I can hear myself. It's pretty good. Okay. So, you might remember me last time we met. I had shorter hair. We were playing funny games. I was married then, and I'm married now. Thank God. I look a lot different now. I decided to just go full caveman and grow it out. So, yeah, we met at a Steubenville conference. Yeah.
Was I the main pushing factor of you going to Ave?
I think it was God through you. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So to beat around the bush, yes, it was you. More importantly, like God acting through you, to bring me to Ave, to help me recognize that Ave was going to be like a second home to me, and it really was. So.
And you're still there now, and you're studying to do your master's, yeah?
Yep. So 6 years later, no, I'm just kidding. 4 years into my studies at Ave Maria, I graduated in 2019 with my undergrad in theology, and I'm pursuing right now my graduate degree in theology, writing my thesis, and I'll be walking in May, and yeah, I'm excited. Thank God.
It's great. And Jordan actually gave you your topic for your thesis, didn't he?
Okay, so one day he texted me and he said, "Why does the Catholic Church have the authority to canonize saints, but not the authority to condemn people to hell?" And I said, "Jordan, thank you for giving me my 40-page minimum master's level thesis presentation." So as of right now, the title of my thesis is it's a split decision between "Feed my sheep" and "As they hear you, they hear me," which essentially is the Catholic Church's authority on heaven and hell. So the main question is, can the Catholic Church, since it does canonize saints, can it sort of reverse canonize and say, hey, this very evil person is in hell. If you'd like to know more, please comment down below. I'm going to make you do some editing work after you're married, after all of this has happened. So I'm going to throw my hand up, and you're going to put some confetti right here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's confetti. 8K graphics. You're going to love it. So our topic, you just had some interviews on marriage.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to ask, you got married late 2019, right?
So December 20th, 2019, I had a...
5 days before Christmas. Do you know how stressful that is?
Yeah, so God bless my wife for being able to do so much. I love her so much. Being able to... I'm not saying she planned everything, but she really did put a lot of work into making sure we had a wedding happening 5 days before Christmas Day, and to put that all together. I'm so thankful to her. I'm forever in her debt. And I did do some work, but nearly not as much as she did. I was very emotionally invested, but she was just so much more. And so, yeah, December 20th, during Advent, during the preparation for the birth of our Lord. And it was a Christmas-themed wedding. Not wedding, but a Christmas-themed celebration. Right, we took pictures in front of the big Christmas trees that they had set up outside of the church, and yeah, so it was a great time, and the people who did come came for the wedding, came for the celebration, and then most likely stayed for a couple of days, and then just celebrated Christmas with us all. It was really, really fun, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, I was your wife's confirmation sponsor, and I remember the day you like met each other, and we're like,
wait, can you for the record, can you tell that story about how you think we met? Because my wife and I have competing stories. She thinks one story about how we met, I think a different story, and we always have this debate about what story. So please, I'd love to know your story.
so
About how you think we met.
how you think you met? What I know, what I remember, is that you went to the sock hop, and you must have met sometime in between before that, but this is where it really started. I think you guys have met at a dinner table with me at some point, or maybe even without me. Who knows? Ave's that small. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the biggest things is that you and her started dancing at the sock hop. And I remember you coming up to me halfway through the sock hop night and were like, Amber? And that's all you said. And I was like,
Wait. Do that again. I'm sorry. Do that whole thing again.
Put your hand on my shoulder. It's like, you came up to me and you said, Amber? That's it. You just said Amber? Like,
No, I said, Amber? And I looked him in the eye and I said, yeah, I said, Amber. And he said,
and I said, okay, if you do, I'm like, yes, but if you do, there's a conversation we need to have, because I know Amber and I know some of the things that, you should know before pursuing, And so we had a conversation a couple days later, and there was still a thing. Yeah. And fast forward 2 years later, you're married, and you have a kid coming in the way, right?
No.
Dang it!
Absolutely.
I'm just joking.
No, not yet, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to disappoint. So, yeah, we talked, and I knew that I was really into Amber and into who she was, and her personality was great. And we actually danced at the sock hop, and we started the night by being friendly with each other and going into it. And I to this day I laugh at myself because Amber's a very, she's I think she's 5'1", 110 pounds soaking wet. And so I look at her and before we even start dancing, and I had never swing danced before, and I said to her, I could definitely throw you. How much do you weigh?
Bruh.
So I started our friendship off like that by asking her how much she weighed. So yeah, that's how it started. Not officially. My side of the story is that we met in the gymnasium of our university, our field house, if you will, at my orientation week as I transferred in. Her side of the story is that we were outside of our student union cafeteria area, talking with her friend at the time, Elizabeth Minter, now Elizabeth Lozano. So yeah, that is how she thinks we met. That's how I think we met, and we fight to this day, and we argue about how we really met.
Whose side are you on? Let us know in the comments. Maureen, I'm hoping you're watching this.
Mom, if you're watching this, hi. I love you. That's all I'm going to say. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to call you soon.
That's amazing. That's a big drink. Oh man. So you have been married for a year and some months.
A year and 4 months.
4 months. What is what's the question I've been asking everybody? As somebody who's about to get married, I'm trying to get some good advice. For those two who might be listening, or maybe just kind of some encouragement of seeing, some women don't know guys like this room is filled of, guys who can have fun, but also take the sacrament of marriage like seriously, and love their wives and work every day at doing that. And so hopefully this can be encouraging for the females as well, but also hopefully more practical for the guys out there who are listening. So for me, what is the best thing that you've learned? What is your best advice that you can give to someone like myself who is on the verge of, getting married or preparing or trying to learn or trying to figure out, navigate being a husband?
So
I'm gonna let you riff.
So first things first, you're not on the verge. You're getting married tomorrow. Okay.
By the time this releases, I'll be married.
Oh, okay. So right, you're not gonna be editing tomorrow or anything. Anyway. Self-sacrificing love and heroic virtue. Look at the saints. They are saints because of their heroic virtue and because of their self-sacrificing love. And self-sacrificing love, it means dying to yourself every single day. Choosing to pursue the higher things over the lower base things. And what I mean by the higher things are pursuing, self-sacrificing love, death to self, choosing to pursue not your own interests. Mm-hmm. The interests of those that you love for their sake. And because you love them, you will choose to close that computer when Netflix is on, and you will choose to put that phone down when your favorite YouTuber is YouTubing. And you will choose to clean the dishes or cook the food when you don't really feel like it, or fold the clothes when you don't really feel like it, or do what you have to do when you don't really feel like it. So sort of dying to what you want to do over the will of others. And with that being said, I bought you a little gift. I didn't have a bag to wrap it in, so I just reused the bag that he used. And it's a book by St. Alphonsus Liguori called Preparation for Death. And I know you wear contacts, so it's large print, so you can take your contacts out and read it if you want. It's really large print. That's why the book's so big. So Preparation for Death, it's sort of a little gag gift because death to self and getting married and self-sacrificing love are all in there. So read up. Awesome. So there's the ISBN if you guys want to check it out. You can buy it on Amazon. It's a little over $20, I believe. This is the large print version, so if you want large print, you can get the large print. Right. So I think the important thing is to realize your mortality, but realize your new role as you are going into becoming a husband, realizing that Christ is the husband to his bride, the church. Looking at the example of his crucifixion, his death on the cross, his body stretched out saying, I love you this much. To look at the cross every day when you wake up and devoutly say, what will I give to you today, Lord, for the sake of my wife, for the sake of my family? How may I mirror you as a husband loving his wife? So self-sacrificing love and death to self every day.
That's that self-sacrificing life we were talking about earlier. It's just like every single guy that's been on here, which is great. And that's something, again, it's something that is not a surprise to the listeners, maybe, but it is something that is a constant thing to work on. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing when you're able to do it successfully.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and every day is not a struggle, but every day is really sort of a self-check. It's sort of like a litmus test. How did I do today? Like before you lay your head down on that pillow, if you do a nightly examine, right, looking at what you did today and taking that into the realm now of becoming a husband. What did I do as a husband today? Not just anymore as a single man, but as a husband. What did I do for my wife? Oh, and that reminds me of something super important I wanted to talk about. Marital grace. Marital grace is so real. I got married, and after becoming a married man and receiving sacramental marriage, I was doing things that I never thought I would be able to do. I was praying more. I was working harder and doing it all for the love of God through marital grace. Marital grace is a real thing, and it's a very efficacious thing. So that's what I wanted to say about that. I think that marital grace is real. It'll change your life. Make sure you're ready for it, obviously. Make sure you're well prepared and well formed in your Catholic faith or your Christian faith to become a married man and know somewhat of what it means to be a married man. Right. And to mirror Christ as the husband for his bride, the church.
Yeah. Philippe, man, when I met him, would not have that language. Honestly.
Thanks, Ave.
Yeah. Thanks, Ave. Yeah, and I just want to say, like, again, everybody here is a person close to me, and I love them to death. But like, your growth has been so exponential and inspiring. So I love that. I love you. Thank you. And I remember sobbing, not because I was tipsy, but partly maybe that. But
he cried. He was obviously my wedding. He was one of the groomsmen. He was talking with my mom, and we were at the reception. One thing led to another. I'm turning around, and Adrian's just bawling. I was like, Adrian, what happened? He's like crying on my mom's shoulder because my mom was telling him a story.
Yeah. I was just like, but I was honest. I'm like, man, Philippe is gonna love Amber so well, and I was crying like a baby. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. I love you. I'm glad you're here. So, glad to be here. And can't wait to be amongst you guys who are married. Yeah. All right. I love you. So, Evan, you are the one. You are the one. Day one of this group.
Wow.
Yeah. I have pictures. We obviously, our families grew up together. My mom watched you, babysat you, and then I was born, and then we like kind of just grew up side by side.
Yep. Oh, man, shit. We have pictures of us like kind of being dressed by our parents and barely standing still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I got a bunch of those, and I'm excited. I mean, I was able to be part of your wedding in October, and I'm gonna take pride in introducing y'all. I'm gonna take pride in that.
There's no way it would have happened without you.
Yeah.
No way. Because she was other side of Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the only reason why was because I thought, I don't know, maybe I got it wrong, but I thought she had like relation to Brian Puspos. And I was like, bro, I know my cousin loves this dude, I'm like, yo, let's get them in touch. And then I don't know what happened after that, but I knew you were single. I remember asking you before I gave her your number, because I was like, this could actually might happen.
And now we're married.
And you did one thing that it's gonna be kind of similar to what I did. I left my home state of Florida to go and live in a new state with my bride. So you did that first. I mean, you moved beforehand, but now you're like doing. Now you guys are married and you're in Houston full time. So
Yeah. So, yeah, that was one of the biggest changes. I mean, all I knew was Lake Worth, Florida for 26, 27 years. So that was a hell of a challenge where I used to live with my parents. They take care of the things I miss. Now it's more like I learn by myself and adapt to another person that's there 24/7. It was a hell of a challenge, and it took the engagement, and we're still working on it. I mean, I'm a stubborn mother dude.
I get it. I know.
Yeah.
But that's just. I mean, that's partly how we were raised, partly our parents. Right? But it's a beautiful thing to be able to recognize that there needs to be growth there.
For sure. And being with Rachel and with the marriage and now living together, or even the engagement where we're spending most of the days together, man, she would do the adjustments that I wasn't used to, and of course, me being me, I would retaliate.
Right.
I wasn't open-minded initially.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the most challenging thing because with my dad, it's more like we do this, get it done. Right. Yeah, and your dad's the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
And there's nothing like no shade towards our fathers. Obviously, we love our fathers.
Oh yeah, man, they taught us so much, and that's what we knew. So adjusting was weird.
Yeah, it's just a different way of being a husband. Like now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just in general, but just like for us, you know.
And then
being raised in America versus being raised in the Philippines is different.
For sure. And then with us taking the big jump between moving away and living with someone else, our brides, of course.
Right.
It's just a different environment.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna look to you for some. That's where I know I'm gonna be looking to you for some advice on that, because I know I'm going to have to deal with that, and that's going to be hard. Like, I'm leaving family. I mean, like, I already am living away from family, but I'm moving to a state where I have no friends, like you did, you know. I mean, besides Rachel and her extended family and friends, but it's going to be hard. I know, especially someone like myself who loves, interacting with people, making friends and making communities and for wherever I'm at. So like, I know it's going to be difficult, but I'm gonna look to you for that advice and stuff and how to adjust.
In regards to that, I mean, you continue to be yourself because you're very approachable, very friendly, and you'll bend over back for someone, this and that. I wasn't, so I think you can adjust really well, and just keep an open mind. Yeah.
I remember first we went to the same high school. You're a year above me. Yeah. And do you remember this conversation? I called you after my first day of high school at Park Vista, and I said, "How do you become more extroverted?" You remember that?
Yeah.
You called me, and you're like, "How was your first day?"
Yeah, I remember that.
And then you said your response was like, "I don't know. Ask my mom. I'm not like that."
Yeah, because I'm not extroverted. Yeah. And man, shit, you blew up. Like, I mean, you're one of the friendliest people I know, and everyone knew about you. Everyone loved you. I heard nothing bad about you. So yeah, it was nice to see that growth. Yeah.
And like I said, Evan has been there since day one. We've seen each other grow. We played in the park. We've played video games.
Everything and whatever we could think of, because we were 10 minutes away from each other. Even nowadays, we're just go grab a drink when you're home. Right. So it was nice to see, and I'm still around. So.
Dude, I'm gonna cry. Stop that. Ooh man, I'm gonna be crying a lot tomorrow.
We're swapping groomsmen.
So, you're the shortest marriage length, but I'm sure you've been already sharing a little bit of how much you've learned. But what is maybe your most crucial learning experience this past few months?
Crucial learning experience. So you got to include your wife now with any decision or what you're thinking about. So communication is one of the biggest things I struggle with as me being always keeping to myself. And we also had a long distance relationship. So it was always like, hey, I'm going to go do this. And I do it without asking or seeing how she feels about it. Now it's, hey, I have to include her with any decision really and discuss. I need to care what she thinks. Yeah. Obviously, she's going to take a big sway of it, communicate, hey, I don't feel comfortable you doing this, this and that. But overall, I mean, I know you trust Sarah and it's going to be great. Just communicate. I mean, you're going to learn off each other. Yeah. Even on the focus assessment, I was lacking communication.
Yeah.
Deacon would say, hey, you would shut out. I'm like, I do. I do. And I go to myself. So
Yeah. And I know like you love just like going on a kayak and just go fishing. Yeah. Do you get to do that much anymore?
Not as much. I do miss it, but I don't feel empty if I miss it because again, I have a wife at home that loves me, whether whatever I do, I'm gonna come home and she's gonna be there for me. So I mean, kayaking is more of a peace of mind thing, and so it's y'all definitely do what you need to do by yourselves too. It's nice, to also be independent a little bit here and there. So
and it seems like especially in my relationship right now, I know we know our boundaries, and like there's gonna be times where I know she's gonna need that. There's gonna be times where I need that. Where I love living ardently. I do this with a passion. I don't just do it because I want to grow it. I do it because I love it, and hope if it grows, then great. If not, then whatever.
We definitely live by that.
Yeah. And so it's just seeing how we already do on that end. I'm excited for it. I know it's gonna be a challenge. In doing it in person, because being in person day to day is going to be a bit more of a challenge, for sure. Especially because we're coming off of an hour and a half distance, like I said earlier, with the other guys. Like it's an hour and a half distance between Sarah and I, just to see each other. Right. And it's not that much. I know people who are across the freaking world and doing long distance. You were doing a couple states, Texas, Florida, and now you're in Houston. But it's a whole different world when you're not immediately available. I'm sure the relationship, there's new challenges and new things that you had to do when you moved to Houston, and maybe 10 minutes from Rach?
Yeah. When we were engaged, we were about 10 minutes. I purposely chose that apartment so close as possible. Yeah, man, you got to check in and see how she's feeling. Whether, again, I was always to myself, I was more away. And there are days where she needs more, whether it's just more affection, those kind of things where she needs more of that. And I'm just used to talking to her through it. Yeah. But physically too, you got to be there now. You got to touch, rub her back, check on her, and it's different. It's different, and make sure y'all communicate what you need less of. Be open about it, and as long as you're open, it's gonna be fine. Yeah.
I appreciate that, bro. And know that I'm be calling you guys and getting tips. You guys have been super helpful in wedding process, just checking in on this. And we undoubtedly and unseasonably appreciate that, because that was helpful for us. You just sometimes even wedding prep, you just want to break and you just stop. You let go of the gas a little bit, and oh crap, I got to do a lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
And it's someone keeps you accountable for make sure you're getting your work done, and someone that cares how you're feeling, not just hey, how's your work? It's more of how you're feeling about your work. Right. I also learned that through Rachel.
Yeah. It's also, I don't know how many guys get to have this experience, but I have the privilege, like I said, nine of my guys in the wedding party. I have 9 guys, and of those 9, 7 are married. 1 is in a relationship currently, and the other 1 is single. So I have a group of men who are experienced in planning weddings and stuff. Yeah. So it's no secret to them, and so they're able to give me some advice that is crucial, or checking on certain things that I might overlook, that they found helpful for them.
Yeah. You have a good community. Everyone's got your back. So if you need any of us, we're here, and you obviously deserve that. Yeah. So we'll be here. Yeah.
Whoever you are, like if you don't have that community, I encourage you to look for that community. And sometimes it can be a little difficult in wherever location you are, but finding some sort of community, I'm sure, is one of the most important things. Like you guys have your community over at Houston that you guys kind of like fall on. And maybe I don't know how many young Catholic married couples you have around you, but I know there's a good Catholic community that you're part of, right?
Yeah, good amount. I mean, they're open about it, and they'll reach out to you when you haven't said anything. Just good people checking in on you, and definitely if you need it, take it. At least just to blow some steam if you need to. Yeah. Then you got your friends long distance now that you're getting out of here. But FaceTime's beautiful, and phone calls and occasional visits.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but man, it's like I live in Texas anyway, so Indiana, the same thing.
Yeah. It's interesting. I love FaceTime and Snapchat, Instagram, because for some of the people I realized like recently, I haven't seen these guys since before COVID, and it doesn't feel that way for some, because unlike Chris I see it almost like at least once a week. Chris is over off camera. We're using his camera right now to
Sorry, I'm not married.
we'll have Chris and Rudy on there too. Just kind of talk about the single guys and a little bit, But yeah, I appreciate you, bro. I love you, man. And
I love you too.
Again, day one,
Day
always
one.
been, always will be.
For sure. And we'll keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 80 more years.
Day one to death.
Day one till death.
I love you, bro.
Love you too. You gotta hurry up. You gotta sleep.
Yeah, I gotta sleep soon. Who's next? Garrick. Garrick's last one. All right, so we are here with our final married man. We have one more. Trent is on his way from California. He's not here during the recording, so we're not gonna have him. But I'm sure he has a lot of wisdom, as Ron Swanson would. He has a sense of humor in like acting of Ron Swanson. You'll get to know him, but yeah, he has the similar mannerisms and stuff like that. So
definitely, most definitely.
So just imagine any wedding advice you would hear from Ron Swanson. That's what you would hear from Trent.
Absolutely, that is him in a nutshell.
Right.
If you're wondering at all and you're just concerned about it, just go find him and find his own wedding advice from Ron Swanson.
I also feel like he's kind of like a Ron Swanson meets Stanley from The Office.
I don't have much Office experience, but I think I know who you're talking about, and I can definitely see that. Trent is just a very like those comedians are very unique. He's a very unique character.
Yeah. He definitely is, and I love him, and I wish he was here, but alas, he's on a plane right now. He just got on, probably like 30 minutes ago, right?
Probably like an hour now. It's been a bit.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, he's on his way here. We're excited to see him and his newborn daughter.
I know, and imagine
who your son's gonna marry.
Yep, I guess that's the current plan.
But we have Garrick here, and Garrick is the best man. And it was such a hard to choose a guy for best man, to be honest, if I'm honest, because it was like a three-way tie, basically Jordan, Garrick, and Evan. I mean, but then also Arnell and Matthias. And I was just like, man, who do I choose from? But overall, I mean, our leadership together from when we led our household together, and our relationship in youth ministry, and how you constantly were checking in on me in different ways that helped me, was kind of like, I know Garrick's gonna make sure I balance the fun and the prayer aspect of things always. And so I was like, you know what? As hard as a decision it is, and no slight to any of the guys, again, I love him to death, but you ended up having to be the one that I called upon to be the best man. So it was a hard choice, but it was a choice that I felt like was the right one.
And it's an honor. I mean, it's a huge title, but I do feel like part of the blessing of being a part of this is these men love Adrian so much, and so it's almost nerve-wracking to say that I'm the best man in a way, right. But honestly, any of these guys, they love him to death. They're willing to do anything for him. So if I can just take up some of the responsibility to help relay that so that they can enjoy themselves more, then I'm totally down for that, to help just relieve the pressure a little bit. So I hope that I am, and but yeah, it's a huge honor, and not just honor, but I'm just I love this guy, and I love that we'll be able to do this journey together.
Yeah. One of the things too is just like one of the things I struggled to, and I'll be honest, one of the struggles I had in choosing you is that we're kind of alike in a way. We're like lazy at some points.
We can't record that.
Right? Lazy at some points, but also but at the same time, if we're on fire about something, we gonna give it our all.
Absolutely.
Like too much percentage. Like 1 out of 100, we're giving like 180.
Yeah, we're either
For
like
no reason.
we're either all in or all out.
Right. And right now we're in fantasy basketball against each other this week.
Oh snap! I need to update my roster. I think.
Dude, you've been kicking my butt.
Let's go.
So and we were like this last week before playoffs. So he's trying to secure a spot. I'm trying to make sure I have that 7th seed.
I mean, I'm sorry, man. Gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta get my ranks.
I remember your words were last week. No mercy.
Never. Not in fantasy.
Right. Mercy in other things, but not in fantasy.
I mean, I need to get mercy in life, but this is a game, and I don't have to show any mercy.
Right.
There's no reason for it.
Right. So, you have been married. You got married before COVID ranked terror in 2020. So you got married in January, like 4th of 2020, and like a couple like 6 weeks later, coronavirus got serious. And then probably like 2 months officially later, we were shutting down churches. We were shutting down a ton of things.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, it's crazy because I remember pre our wedding, like people were kind of, you always hear about this. Like, oh man, like it's insane things happening across the world, and oh no, like this is the end of the world. And everyone always says those kind of things, but like it's never actually happened, at least in our lifetime. And so it was one of those things where everyone was kind of, oh yeah, coronavirus, ha ha ha, like oh yeah, like oh it's not as bad as the flu or whatever else. And all of a sudden, like 2 months later, it's like, oh shoot, everything actually shut down this time.
Right.
Like sports are canceled. Like, and when America cancels the sports, it's serious.
Yeah. It's when NBA canceled is when it got serious for me.
Yeah.
I was mad, but like I was like, dang, is this real?
Ruby, oh my gosh.
Ruby Gobert.
Ruby Gobert, man.
It's your player on fantasy, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's doing a great job right now, actually.
And that's the Utah Jazz center, and my favorite player of all time, Dwayne Wade, is majority owner of the Utah Jazz.
That's insane. I had no idea about that.
You didn't know? Yeah, it's kind of like some people are kind of like finding it controversial. I don't think nothing of it. I'm excited. I mean, like Shaq owns ownership in Sacramento Kings. He's never played for them. Of all the teams Shaq has ever played for, you would never associate him with the Kings because he's never played for them.
I feel like that's almost like a slap in the face, though, because Shaq is the reason why they've never won a championship. Like when they were about to win back in the 2000 era.
That's true.
Like he literally like killed any hope they ever had. Like that was like their moment, moment of like their entire organization.
Yeah.
So the fact that he owns them right now, I feel like it's just like
owns them more.
Yeah. Like not only I own you in the championship, I just own you now.
Yeah. Vlade Divac, Chris Webber, Mike Bibby era. Could have been champions if it wasn't for Kobe and Shaq.
No, seriously, we're the reason why they lost.
Yeah. So, if you don't know, Garrick is from Orange County, California, loves the color orange, and is a big diehard Laker fan and an even bigger Kobe fan.
I am. Grew up with that my entire life, and I bleed purple and gold.
Garrick is to the Lakers. The Lakers is to Garrick as Miami Heat is to me, and Dwayne Wade is to me as Kobe Bryant is to Garrick.
Yes, definitely, and it's fun. It's cool to share that parallel because they're not the same player, obviously, but they do share very similar types of like greatness in the way that they like carry themselves and have led themselves when they were playing basketball.
Right. Anyway, we're gonna get back to the wedding things. How we get into basketball? It's just our loves, bro. It's just our loves. So, you've been married for a little bit over a year. A year, and you got married. Man, you got married right after Philippe. Philippe got married 5 days before Christmas, and then you got married 4 days after New Year's. I'm like, man, that was one of the most exhausting stretches of my life because I was part of both of your weddings.
I think you invited me to fly to
Yeah. You invited me to go to his wedding with you.
Because Garrick wouldn't let me bring Sarah.
Yeah. Sarah, if you ever hear this, I'm really sorry. But I was like, Adrian, we don't know if you're actually gonna get married to her at this point. So
It was new. It was new.
It was really new, and we didn't know. I mean,
and you hadn't met her, so it's fair.
I didn't even know you were Sarah at that point when you were like, yeah, my friend's getting married in Cali. You want to fly over there? And I was like, no, I can't.
I mean, it was pretty crazy. I mean, we did a lot that week.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We did like something every day.
Right. Yeah, you had a whole animation hour. You
went paintballing Friday
we
morning
played basketball with a bunch of people.
on New Year's Day. We had a
Man.
New Year's Eve party.
It was a lot. I was out like a light. He has a video of me snoring.
It was just constant movement.
Yeah, man.
And movement with like hundreds of people.
Yeah, it was. Garrick runs deep in Cali, deep. In any case, so you've been married over a year now. What is the being a youth minister married to the primary breadwinner of your household is probably your wife. Maybe you were kind of even. You got a bigger youth minister salary, right, than most, obviously.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've been really fortunate that my parish in California has been really good about honoring my work and the time I've been putting into it, but also like.
More parishioners too. Have bigger budget.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some parishes in California that have just as much, if not more, parishioners, but they still pay their youth ministers part time. So I mean, I feel like our pastor has really emphasized, hey, like this is important, so I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and say, hey, if this is something that's important for our community, I'm going to invest in it. I'm going to invest in not just the bare minimum, but I'm going to invest in quality. And so my drive to do good in ministry is because, well, not just that, but he's honoring my drive to do good. So it's like, I don't feel like, oh man, if I put too much into it, I'm going to burn myself out and I'm not going to take care of my family. It's like, hey, like he's actually helping me take care of my family. And the more I put into it, allows me to take care of my family more. So it's like, he's honoring that for me. So whereas unfortunately, sometimes, you put way more hours than you should as a minister because you want to do a good job, but then something's being sacrificed.
Right.
Some people need to take 2-3 different jobs in order to support a ministry career. Yeah. But especially because if your parish or your main source of income is not enough to support yourself and your family.
Right. And I knew like I love being a youth minister, and it's like something I we bonded on because I knew that it was probably a calling of mine. Now I get to do ministry in a different way with the social media and stuff, and this podcast too. But something we bonded over is the fact that we had this relationship with ministry that was so unique, in a way that it was important for us to be able to do youth ministry to some capacity. Obviously, it's not every parish, like you said, not every parish is able to provide in a way that's always going to be sustainable in a marriage. Like, look, if a single income, like I couldn't live off of my salary with my wife as a youth minister. Like I was able to do it alone as a single person with rent and stuff like that, but bringing in another person into that, it would have been a little bit challenging. I know it's possible, but it would have been really challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and that's one of the things that's hard and easy or hard about ministry, right? Is that you're doing it not because of the money. Like most people don't do ministry because of the money. You do it because you love it, you want to serve God, and you want to be able to serve God while also maintaining your vocation as a single person or as a married life. Right. And so maybe you're not called to become a priest, but you still want to serve the church to your greatest capacity, and so you want to do it. But the question is that does the ministry become too much that you can't now serve your primary vocation of marriage or taking yourself as a single person? Like, is your ministry becoming your life to the point where you can't actually have a life outside of ministry because it's over encompassing? Right.
So, in this time that you've been as a youth minister and husband, and soon to be father, recently announced that he's having the baby boy with his wife Kristen, and super excited for you guys. I was able to tune in live, so in the gender reveal.
And connect. That's why we were talking about basketball, because I used a basketball confetti ball, throw it into the hoop, and so that's
You
just how much
smashed it into the backboard.
he's a future NBA player.
Yeah. If he doesn't, I told Garrick, if he doesn't name his son Kobe in some capacity, if he doesn't reference Kobe in his name at some capacity, he's not a real Kobe fan.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. My I have a family friend whose son is named Iverson because of Allen.
Gosh, that's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah. So in any case, in this, what is the most important lesson that you've learned in your time with your wife and soon to be father? And I'm sure you're going to learn more as you become a father and how to relate your ministry and how you're teaching and ministering to teens and to your child as he grows older. But right now, as of right now, what is the most important lesson that you would share with somebody like myself who's getting married as of tomorrow, or like soon? What is that for you?
One thing that I've been learning, at least that I've been personally reflecting on lately, is that my life revolves now around my wife. The decisions I make, the choices in the future, the planning, the preparation, events, everything that I do revolves around her life. Because if I make a decision without her or without her consent or without her knowledge, it actually affects her. It affects, what her plans, what she's doing, and what we're gonna do as a couple, vacations we're gonna plan, the way that we pray, the way that we go on dates and different things. And so it's recognizing that the number one thing in my life now, even over ministry, with my youth and my teens and my families at the church, is my relationship with my wife. If I fail in leading her to heaven on a day-to-day basis, then I'm failing as a husband and as a future father. And so everything that I do needs to revolve around her, because that's my primary job now.
Yeah. And is it safe to say, I guess, too, is that it's also vice versa for your wife?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she's been doing the same thing where we've become accustomed to always checking in on each other when we're making big decisions, making plans. Before she commits to something, she says, hey, I need to check with Garrick first. Or if I'm going to commit to something, I need to check with Kristen first. Even in my job, my pastor will be like, hey, Garrick, I need you to. He's like, oh, thanks, Father. But before I commit to that, I have to check with Kristen to see that's okay, because I'm sorry, you're not my first boss, or you're like my third boss. There's my wife and there's God. So it's like, sorry, I need to check down the line first before I come talk to you. And not like small decisions like, hey, can you have a meeting on Tuesday? Okay, that's my normal work day. But I mean, if I have to commit to, let's say, a series or going on a trip, or if I need to be gone on an abnormal day of work, everything I do that's not already built into our normal schedule I always have to clear it by her, and she clears it by me too.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing about marriage is that, again, I think a common theme here amongst everybody who's shared, and it's beautiful. And again, for anybody who's listening, if this is something you're struggling with to come to terms with, or if you feel like no guy has this in mind, I just showed you 6 guys. And there will be 7, 8, and 9 that would say the same. Just in my small friend group here that are scattered across the United States,
Literally.
Yeah, literally California, Kansas, freaking Texas, Florida, everywhere. This is not an uncommon thing amongst us guys, especially guys who are pursuing Christ daily, in different ways. I mean, Matthias is not Catholic; he's Protestant. It's something that is ingrained in all of us to know that some of us might not have come from good examples in marriages in our families. Some come from broken families, and is not an excuse for not being able to love your spouse to the best of your abilities, to putting them first, and to die to yourself.
Yeah, and that's different for every person, right? Because you're right. I mean, there's not an excuse, and I think your desire to love someone, challenge or encourages you to change.
Right.
You know, if like you're really gonna love someone, you're going to want to change or be better for them.
Right.
It's like, I love you, but I don't. If you're saying you love someone but you're not willing to do anything for that, then it doesn't make any sense. It's almost like, okay, we use basketball a lot, but if you love basketball but you're not willing to practice, you're not willing to set some time for a designated time just for basketball, to watch the games, to
Iverson. What?
huh?
Allen Iverson.
Oh yeah, whatever. Like, you know, like if you're not gonna be to like, you know, to think about plans and plan, like you love it, so you plan around it. But if you're to say I love basketball, but I don't do anything about it, then do you actually love basketball? Like if you love your wife, then if you actually love her, your life changes because you love her.
Right. And it's a constant battle, day in and day out. Because at the end of the day, I think that the lesson is we are selfish human beings, always have, and doesn't mean we can't change. But that does not mean we can't change. And I know I've seen some pretty great transformations in some of the guys that, you know, we've talked to today, you know, and just in our friendship and how you've, you know, some of you who I know, I've known your wives, some who I didn't. I know I can have this conversation with your wives and I would hear something similar, you know.
Most definitely, and you probably get more of the ways that I fail to love that part of my my desires.
Well, I mean, their side of being a spouse, you know, like, you know. Now I'm not gonna bash you guys because with your wives, that wouldn't be my goal. But you know what I mean, yeah.
I mean, and kind of sidetrack a little bit. I know Adrian probably talks about this a lot, but I don't usually bring it up. I mean, let's just look at household life. When we were in college, we lived in a household, which I think hopefully people are listening to this know what it is by now, but a group of guys that they dedicate themselves to live together under a covenant so that they try to form themselves under the tenets of the covenant. And so, but let's just take out any of the individual parts of a household, but it's called a household for a reason because you're almost practicing what it means to be part of a household. So you're committing yourself to go to daily prayers. You're committing yourself to go to events. You're letting each other know when you can and can't make it. In a way, you're starting to die to your personal desires in order to conform to the life of a household. And so it's something that, like, as college students, is really hard. Like, you want to just live your own life. You want to just be friends with everybody and do your own thing. And, I don't want to make it tonight, I'd rather just go sleep or go play a game or do something different. But, man, I don't want to come back for 15 minutes of night prayer. It gets too much, but that's just it. Like, we had to, like, start conforming our hearts to this because most of us, actually all of us, are called to some type of fatherhood or husbandhood, whether it be in marriage or in priesthood or something else.
Or something else, mentorship or something like that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and me and Garrick are familiar with that just because of youth ministry and stuff. But in general, we have a calling as Christians in general to be disciples, right? But also to die to ourselves constantly. And if that's news to you, like, I hope by the end of this however long episode this is, that it isn't anymore. You know, hopefully you understand at this point that dying to yourself is an essential part of living a Christian life and in marriage.
Yeah, and if any of this also sounds hard to you, like, I hope you know that this is not just like a marriage thing. This is like, I mean, yeah, we're experiencing in like a retrospect of intensity because now we're throwing ourselves into another person's life. But honestly, I should be growing in this way outside of marriage. I should be growing in this way of dying to myself outside of marriage because that's going to lead me to become the best version of me. And I think the part is, though, and the part that maybe I kind of would struggle with, like, oh, Garrick, that's so hard. Like, why would I want to do that? But it's like, that's just it. It is hard, but you don't have to do it on your own. You're not called to do that by yourself.
Yeah. Hands down, it's not something that you need to do alone. Again, if you didn't hear it before, find yourself a community of guys like the ones that like the guys that I have at my wedding party. These guys I know will never let me down, and there's like a whole handful of guys I know that I could have invited to be part of the wedding party because I know they wouldn't let me down either. And I'm blessed to have that. And I know that's not the norm. It might not be the norm for a lot of people. I have been blessed by God to have such good God-fearing guys and girls in my life that help inspire me to continue to live a good Christian and holy life, you know. And I know a lot of people there's a lot of people I know that can't say that. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity, especially, for these 9 guys that are here, or 8, with the exception of Trent, who's on his way. And especially for the 6 and 7 guys that are married and have experience and are able to, be there for me and help us, especially in this time of change where I just started a new job. I'm getting married and next month moving. I know I can look to each one of these guys for all the same advice or for different parts of different advice. Like I said, Evan, he moved out of state away from his family, and started a new life. It was something I'm going to be doing. Yeah. And for Garrick and, in transition in ministry and ministry side of things, and, having to, bring my ministry home, which is sometimes like my problem solving with teens is so much easier than sometimes problem solving with my family or friends,
Yeah, because in a way, like I tell my families all of this all the time, like I get your kids for like 2 hours max, like a month, sometimes a week, and then I send them back to you, and that's your problem for the rest of their lives, Right. But I guess when you go home, like this is actually my issue for the rest of my life, because my wife or my future kids are going to be with me every single day for the rest of my life, and I can't just send them away when I'm done with them. Right. It's something that, it's easy to just introspectively look into life, but it's a different thing to live through it and love and to learn to love like day in and day out.
Yeah. So I hope that at some point of this episode, as chaotic as it might have been, as noisy as it might have been, that there was value. There was so much great things said, referenced, and even quoted in today's episode that I hope for anybody listening, not just those who are preparing for marriage, those who are single, those who are men who are trying to just prepare their hearts for marriage eventually, or discern whether they're going to be called to priesthood or married life, or even ladies who are out there, again, like I said earlier, who might not know of many guys like us who are trying to live a life of holiness. There's a million different circumstances that you could be listening, but I hope that in all, if not many circumstances, you might find value in this today's episode, as chaotic as it might have been. Whether you're watching or listening, I don't know if I'm actually going to release a video portion of this anymore because of how exhausting this would probably be to edit. But if there is a video component, I hope you enjoyed and maybe seen some of the ways it's just so distracting. Right now, everybody's outside in the pool enjoying themselves, and
there's not many people that would choose to record a podcast and a video on the night before his wedding, by the way.
Yeah. and I appreciate everybody playing along and letting me have this. I didn't expect it to go 2 hours of raw recording. I definitely expected 5 minutes per person, but everybody, again, has such great advice. And some, again, were of the same. Majority of them were of the same, like, theme of, like, dying to self. But there's so much depth to dying to self that is necessary to be heard.
There's one more thing that just to add to there, one more thing that someone once told me is that you need to have a date night every week. And it's and here's why, because your primary vocation is not to your children, it's to your husband and to your wife. Thanks. And so you need to have a weekly date night, or at least a regular date night that's indisputable, like where it says, where you can tell your kid, hey, I'm sorry, I gotta go spend time with mom, or I gotta spend time with daddy because I love him more. No, you're not saying that to them in like a psychologically messed up kind of way, but in a way that says like, hey, like we're each other's priority, because that's gonna make us love you better. Because there's so many times when families fall apart because they've put their kids as number one, when in fact like you're called to each other first, and so you need to have that. And one of my really and that's another thing, like finding an older couple that's someone that's been married for years and years and years. For me, it's been incredibly helpful because they give me all these different advice and things that they've had to go through, or watching their friends that have had divorces or separations and different things, and so things they've learned. So, I mean, I'm a year into marriage, and I'm still learning every single day.
Yeah, and it's an amazing journey, I'm sure, of marriage, of constantly trying to learn new things and to be a better husband, as you were yesterday. And so, whoever you are, like I said, there's so much to learn. Always there's so much growth to have, in your lifespan. And I hope you never settle and you continue to thrive and to grow and to challenge yourself and to let yourself be challenged in your growth, in your relationship with Christ, in your relationship with other people, and especially hopefully those who are married or discerning with your significant other or spouse. And obviously with Christ. Did I say that already? Did I list that off? Maybe if not, with Christ, obviously. First and foremost. So I just been told to wrap it up, and we are wrapping it up. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you, again, found some value in any of this advice that these guys shared. Again, I pray for us as we start, me and my wife, Sarah. We're soon to be, well, at this point, they're listening. She will be my wife. So I'm not releasing this tonight, and people Sure. I don't have the energy or time to edit that. In the future, speaking, my wife and I pray for us in our journey as we start a new family, and learn to die to ourselves and learn the deep and beautiful intricacies of marriage. And hopefully, I will be praying. Hopefully, that I will be praying for you all, and all these guys will be praying for anyone listening who might need to hear this, who might not want to hear this. And know that you're not alone in the battle. And it's not a battle, it's a journey. Like battles are so intense. I think journeys are more durable. So again, God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on an Apple or Spotify, Apple, please make sure you leave a rating or review. Just subscribe everywhere else podcasts that you listen. If you're listening on like Spotify, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment in the comments below. If you want to talk and continue the conversation, you can send us a DM at Living Ardently, or you can personally, follow me on my account at It's Only Adrian on Instagram. You can also send us an email at livingardentlypod@gmail.com. You go to our broadcast, our blog site at livingardently.wordpress.com. There's so much places you can contact us. 407-853-2010 if you want to call or chat. Some people take advantage of that. Some people don't. That's okay. It's a great thing. I just want to make sure that you guys know and understand I'm not a counselor. I am just a guy with a microphone and with some great people in my life. So I love you all. I am well loved by these guys in here, and I feel so honored to be, to have them by my side tomorrow. And pray for me, pray for my wife to be, and know that we as a couple will be praying for you, not us, me and my wife to be, but Garrick also will be praying with his wife and kid too. So God bless, guys. Make sure you tune in next week for whatever episode or whatever next episode it is. And until then, God bless and keep
going.
Keep
Christ is, I don't know.
What is my podcast title? And keep
living ardently.
Peace. Let's go.
As you
He became his true self. He had whiskey and he said, "This is the truth." Hey, oh man.
you can take the Arnell out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the art.
Lake Worthless.
Well, I'm from Port St. Lucie.
Okay. All right, back to the thing.
So
And we're
back. So
there's still thing to be back from what you were just talking.
So self-sacrificing love